Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox on the channel. I am your host, Sega Forever. Brand new video for you guys today. I saw that this news broke. I think it was yesterday. But if you guys have been on my channel, you guys know that I'm a predominantly pro Xbox channel. The majority of the videos and content that I make revolve around Xbox, at least in the sense of uh, the company, the games, the industry, gaming industry in general. But I've always wanted to do pop culture stuff on my channel. Starting to shift a little bit more towards that. You'll see that kind of content on my channel a little bit more regularly. Um, but with that being said, whether I was switching gears or not on my channel, still will be Xbox focused. But this is a story that really can't be ignored. If you guys follow me on social media, if you guys follow me on this channel where I put on my content, you guys know that I'm a big pop culture type of guy. I don't really do the videos on YouTube, but if you follow me on other social media sites, you know that I keep up with the industry quite closely. And the reason why is because I'm just at heart, I'm just a big nerd and a big geek. So I've been doing this my entire life. But for the most part, this channel is focused on Xbox stuff. And like I said, I'm just doing a little bit of a shift. Gonna do a little pop culture stuff as well, which I used to do before. I used to have other videos that I had on here talking about pop culture in general. But this news, regardless if I was shifting gears or not, is just too huge to pass up because there's a lot of ramifications. If you guys didn't see, Bob Iger is going to make a return to Disney. Bob Iger was the CEO for Disney, probably through some of its biggest acquisitions when it comes to properties that Disney now owns. As you guys know, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm also a huge Star Wars fan as well. And Bob Iger is the person that kind of put that all together for Disney to make those purchases. They also own Fox. Was it Fox Pictures? Which is, of course, Terminator, Aliens, and all that stuff. So they have a lot of properties under the umbrella, and one of the reasons why is because it is through right here, Bob Iger. Now, Bob Iger actually left the company for various reasons, man. Everybody has their opinion on it, and I'm not going to speculate too much on that. That's a whole other video. But when he left, he actually put in charge this guy who's Bob Chapek, who you guys don't know who he is. Bob Chapek's been basically running Disney as the CEO for the last couple of years. And when he came in, people like myself actually saw something happening with Disney that was a little bit promising, man. Like I said, if you guys follow the content on my channel, not the stuff that I make, but the stuff that I share from other YouTubers or other influencers on YouTube, as well as the overall news and everything like that, you guys know that I have a little bit of a bent when it comes to pop culture, as far as the politics of pop culture and the content creation and basically where pop culture is as far as the overall population of people like myself who participate and who consume this content, right? And it's not been really great for Disney, man. I'm a hardcore Disney fan, and when I say that, man, I'm talking old school Disney, right? The Wonderful World of Disney. I grew up with all that kind of stuff, man. And then when I was younger, man, I actually moved to Florida and I lived there. I actually grew up in Florida and within the shadow of the Disney Empire. But at that time when I was there, man, Disney was just this magical place that I just really enjoyed. That made me even a bigger fan, right? And at that time, I mean, Disney was going through transitions as well. They always have as a company, right? But regardless of where they were or what kind of transitions they always made, they always had a way of kind of pulling up. Either growing themselves or becoming what the entertainment industry expects of Walt Disney, especially given the founder of Walt Disney was Walt Disney himself, right? So, flash forward to now, we're in 2022, man, and Disney is just basically lost. I can say that as a hardcore fan, because Disney is not the same company that it was years ago. And I know a lot of people out there say that, the times have changed, things need to change. One thing that never changes when it comes to entertainment is the quality, right? And that's one of the things that Disney's been lacking. And so, go back 2 years ago when Disney was kind of in this little rut, like they were kind of determining, they were at a fork in the road, determining what they were going to go, what their future was, um, given how politically charged the entertainment industry is now, especially on the geek side, right? And geekdom, right? If you guys are like me and you guys follow comic books, anime, all that stuff, dude. Everything's politicized now. You can't get out. You can't get around it. And Disney was at a fork in the road, and they decided to make a change, and that change is Bob Chapek. Now, for somebody like myself, who was a little bit worried about Disney, Marvel, especially Star Wars at that time, because Star Wars content was just horrible. Bob Chapek comes aboard, and I kind of saw maybe there could be a change and a change for the good, the positive, especially as a Star Wars fan. And the reason why I think Chapek was a good fit when he first came in is because he's more of a money guy, right? And I think that's one of the things that's hurting Disney right now. They're very ideologically based with a lot of the content they produce. And what tends to happen in business is that you can try different things, maybe have different ideas, put out new content. But as a business, what always happens is you actually respond to um, how your customers or consumers or the people you want to be consumers react to that content, and in the end, if they pay for that content. Because at the end of the day, these big corporations, man, they need to make money. And so I saw Bob Chapek coming there and actually doing a course correction because a lot of the content there that Disney's producing, whatever politics you fall under, right or left, it doesn't matter, right? Their content is just not good, right? Even the people who are Disney fans that try and paint a rosy picture and stuff like that, they themselves know that the content is not the same as it was 7 to 10 years ago. Like I said, I grew up in Disney when they were going through an actual renaissance of sorts with their animation studios. I actually went on a back studio tour of the Disney animation studio in Florida when it first opened up, and actually got to see the first stills of The Little Mermaid before anybody knew anything about it. Me, the people on that tour, which consisted mostly of employees. It was basically like a dry run to launch the Disney studios there in Florida. And this is when Disney was expanding in the 90s. And I got a chance to see that for the very first time. Now, at that time, I was young, and number two, it looked cool, right? But I didn't know how big that was going to be, and that was a huge. Right at the time, I think Michael Eisner was the CEO of Disney. But I didn't know at that time that that was going to be such a big hit, and that with the Little Mermaid and then Aladdin, it propelled Disney into a whole other atmosphere. And then, of course, Pixar and Disney just growing their brand. Um, Mass producing their products, right? Building a whole new generation of fans. Because the generation I grew up is the generation of Herbie the Love Bug, right? Witch Mountain, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, the original Swiss Family Robinson, stuff like that. Apple Dumpling Gang. The old animation Snow White, Lady and the Tramp, and that was signature Disney because, of course, Walt Disney was so much involved in it. 90s was kind of a transitional period between that, and then now we sit in the 2000s where Disney's in that area. They're actually in this time period now where they have to reinvent themselves, and the way they've been doing it is just it's not working, dude. It's like I said, everything's political now, right? As people are saying, pop culture is downstream from politics is downstream from pop culture, right? Because pop culture is American culture. Hat tip to Nerd Roddick, who made that great observation. Um, but it has such a big influence, right, on what people consume. And Disney's trying to get that piece of the pie. Unfortunately, the rate that they're going, man, they're just not going to do it. So when Bob Chapek came on board as a money guy, that was my hope, right, that he would actually look at the numbers, right, see what was working, what wasn't. And in the beginning, that's what he was focusing on, right? People would ask him, hey, what do you think about this political thing? What do you think about that political issue going on? And Bob Chapek was like, look, we're here to entertain. We're an entertainment company. We want to entertain. So it started off right, but of course you got pushback and blowback from a vocal minority of people who want to push their politics and agenda and everything and ideology, right? And you know, as good as Bob Chapek started off, you could see him faltering a little bit. Like I feel sympathy for the guy. Anytime you go up against a lot of these people who are on the woke side of politics or the woke side of entertainment, right? It's gonna be a hard fight. You're gonna get trounced. Right? So it takes a strong person to actually stand up, to that vocal minority. Right? Because the majority of the people really don't care. It's like I talked about on my Xbox channel. Right? You have people that are hardcore gamers. You have people on certain sides of the gaming spectrum, right? But the people that determine where the industry goes now is the people who are the normies, and this is the same thing with entertainment. But even though, man, I had a high hope for Bob Chapek, and he had done quite a few things that I thought he did good at, that gave me hope about, especially when it came to Star Wars, man, some of the moves he did there. But then he fell into the trap. Look, dude, I'm just gonna tell you guys this much: when you guys get a chance to fall into a position like Bob Chapek has, and you have a game plan, just execute it. Right? Don't listen to the criticisms. Don't listen to what the haters are gonna say. Because a lot of it too, when people start criticizing you and it starts to snowball, a lot of people that are jumping on there, they're just jumping on the bandwagon, right? It's just that unique set of people, right? That either you're going against their agenda, um, They don't like your politics, any of that kind of stuff. You're just dealing with that group of people. Everybody else tends to jump on board, right? So the best thing that he could have done, which I'm afraid he did not do, dude, he just should have went with what his original game plan was. You know, he is the CEO. He needs to set that standard. And if you guys um, think what I'm saying is wrong, I mean, look at Xbox. Right? Like I said, I'm a pro Xbox channel. Look at where Xbox was in 2013, and look at where they are in 2022. And that's because Microsoft, when it came to the Xbox brand, you know, they try and be consumer friendly. They listen to the consumers, they listen to the complaints. But pretty much what happened was when they put Phil Spencer in charge, he had a game plan, a roadmap, right? And he basically stuck with that roadmap. Doesn't mean that you ignore your consumers or don't take people's concerns into consideration. But ultimately, man, you run the business, dude. And if you're in charge of that business, you should know your business. And a lot of people, you know, look, I'm pro consumer. You guys know that. I've said that a lot on my channel. But a lot of people outside of the know, you know, that's just their opinion. They don't know what goes on behind this. He's the only person that knows is you. And Bob Chapek was right in a lot of the stuff that he was doing in the beginning. He should have stuck by that, right? But he didn't, and he tried to play both sides, which is even worse, man. Look, nobody likes anybody that's middle of the road. That's not going to work out. You play in the middle of the road, you're just going to run over. And ultimately, I think that's what really hurt him. And it's unfortunate because it looks like he could have made some great changes. And with Bob Iger coming back, one of the reasons why Bob Iger um, did a lot of the stuff that he did. You know, for all this blame that Bob Chapek is getting, all that stuff was done by Bob Iger. Bob Iger was the one that instigated a lot of this woke policy at Disney, woke ideology. He didn't buckle down on the employees that are there. It just blows my mind nowadays. Yeah, maybe I'm too old school, that you can work for some place. You know, that if your boss is a prick or your company is bad, then just leave it, right? But the type of privilege that these people have when they're working for a company, right? It's one thing to be able to have an opinion, right? It's another thing if you're putting yourself above everybody else, right? And that's what basically happened. That's the kind of people that work there now, right? And that's why Bob Chapek had an uphill battle. So he should have went scorched earth. He should have went nuclear. There was a nuclear option, man, because there's a lot of people that were sniping for him. And as you can see, they came back to bite him in the ass, because he's no longer the CEO, and Bob Iger's coming back, the guy who actually is the architect of all these things going wrong with Disney. And with him coming back, man, I don't see Disney ever turning around. Because for Disney to turn around and get back to what they were, they're going to have to change their culture, right? I mean, just look at what Elon Musk is doing at Twitter. With a lot of, whether you hate him, love him, hate him, whatever, dude, that dude he tore that from the ground up. He broke it down and he's building back from the ground up, right? Because he knows a lot of the people that were there, right? They don't have the best interest of the company at heart. You know, a lot of those guys, man, they're spoiled, man. I'm pretty sure you guys saw the videos of those Twitter employees, man. The amount of money they make and the privilege that they have, man, and how they feel like they're entitled to crap, the entitlement stuff, man. Nope, it doesn't work, and that's what Bob Chapek could have done, but he didn't, like I said, it bit him in the ass. So here we are, man, and like I said, I'm a big Disney fan, and that's why you know I'm one of the biggest fans and one of the biggest critics when they do stuff that's wrong. Man. You know, Marvel, Star Wars is absolutely done. Like I told a lot of people on Obi-Wan. Yeah, after that, after I watched the first couple episodes, man, I was done with Star Wars. I stopped watching it altogether. Now Marvel's got that one foot in the grave too because of the stuff they're producing. You know, you see what's happening with Black Panther. All the reviews aside, all the stuff with the politics and racism and all this kind of stuff that people are talking about because people don't want to go watch the movie. Right at the very core of everything about that, you had a picture. You had the first Black Panther that made over $1 billion. That was a cultural phenomenon, right? And you guys have not been able to match that. And that falls on the shoulders of all these people that are working at Disney, all these executives that got their hand in that cookie jar, right? Just absolutely destroying something that could have been not just a one-time cultural phenomenon, dude. Black Panther and Wakanda could have had the potential to be a flagship for the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really did like the first movie. They did a lot of great world building. There's some stuff that they put in there that would have been nice to be addressed. And the second film, I know that the loss of Chadwick Boseman was a tough thing to overcome, right? But I mean, you have that talent there. You spending the money, man. You have to overcome those situations, right? And it's unfortunate, man, because you're never going to get that back. That was a once in a lifetime shot, dude. That was a perfect That was a perfect amalgamation of a lot of different things that came together to make that movie what it was. You know, that Disney had with that first movie. Politics and all that other stuff aside, right? And the fact that you couldn't even come close to matching the first movie shows how creatively bankrupt you guys are, how politically charged you guys are, how you guys are more focused on the message instead of the content, right? And ultimately, with Bob Iger coming back, it's just going to get worse. But anyway, Xbox All In channel, hosted it for you. We out.